Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Real quick to all of my patrons, my apologies. I just realized yesterday I have been using outdated outro screens at the end of my videos, so I made sure I now have the updated ones with everyone's name. So once again, sorry about that. Just a note, no upload from me tomorrow, Thursday, September 1st. A good friend of mine asked me to play in a golf tournament and I said yes, so once again, no upload tomorrow. If you wanted to watch the full Elon interview at ONS, it was around 30 minutes long. I'll include this link to the full video below. I would just highlight two things. Elon said by 2030, he thinks 50% of new car sales will be electric. Maybe by 2035, that number is closer to 80%, even if we continue at the pace we are on now without any acceleration. And he also said that Master Plan Part 3 is still in the works, should be done within a month or two. First up today, we do have to talk about this crash test that was performed by AXA Insurance. So first, a few things. This is a very old Tesla Model S, no driver. It's actually being pulled along this track. Now, we do have to spend some time talking about this because this type of thing ends up on Reddit forums, and then thousands of people start thinking negative things about Tesla. They catch on fire easily, they crash all the time, etc. So people need to know what's really going on in instances like this. So for whatever reason, they decide to send it off this custom ramp that's obviously going to flip the vehicle. But further than that, they actually removed the real battery pack. So of course, this vehicle is much lighter and super easy to flip. Sits on the track, okay, no big deal. Then all of a sudden it catches on fire. Once again, they actually did this with pyrotechnics. So essentially this is a fake Tesla and a fake literally made up fire to put on a show for the 500 or so people that were watching. Don't just take my word for it though. 24auto.de confirmed from AXA they completely faked this crash. No batteries in the vehicle, would have been too dangerous for the audience. The insurance company also ignited the fire of a tested Model S with pyrotechnics itself. Their reasoning for doing this, they claimed EVs cause more collisions with damage. A look at the AXA statistics shows drivers of EVs cause 50% more collisions with damage to their own vehicles than those of conventional combustion engines. Drivers of high-performance electric cars cause more than twice as much damage to themselves through collisions as those of standard combustion vehicles. Conveniently, no actual data or statistics were shared. Doing some quick research on this AXA crash test Vision Zero, AXA said we're seeing significantly more claims involving very large and high-powered EVs compared with combustion engine counterparts. Okay, fine, even if that's true, what would be the point of doing this stunt with a fake old Tesla with pyrotechnics? It just doesn't make any sense. AXA saying they wanted to point out the problems with fires in EVs in general, but then also said, fortunately, fires are very rare in electric cars as well as internal combustion engines all over the place. Then the head of accident research at AXA said, high torque found in most EVs could result in unwanted jerky acceleration and loss of control. Not sure where you would find a one-tire ramp to go off of in the middle of the road, and if you actually have the battery pack in a Tesla, it's going to be one of the most flip-resistant cars on the road with a very strong low center of gravity. So, of course, don't let your friends, family members, or coworkers be fooled by any of this garbage. And why would AXA do this? It's anybody's guess. Are they afraid that Tesla insurance is going to eat their lunch? Are they actually concerned that EVs are less safe? Who really knows? But we don't need to spend any more time on this one. Tesla now has a new section in its owner's manual going over some normal operating sounds, so new owners aren't alarmed if they hear something that sounds out of the ordinary. What's cool is they actually included the real sounds of these different situations. Battery and charging noises, sounds when driving, the low-speed pedestrian warning sound, and the list goes on. This will be linked in the description below. Now, not all users are seeing this just yet, and it might just be for users with FSD and a safety score. However, under daily details, if you scroll all the way down in the app, it's now showing miles driven for the day and how many miles were on Autopilot. I wanted to touch on the first Model Y deliveries in Singapore because this is a very unique market. To date, it's been slower with EV adoption. However, so far this year, it's starting to pick up, and this is a new market for Tesla to start to infiltrate and take over. What you need to know is owning a car, EV or not, in Singapore has been very expensive. People have to buy the right to the vehicle ownership for a period of 10 years. So you buy the car and then you have to buy the right to have the car. This is called a COE, or a certificate of entitlement. This is in place to regulate the number of cars on the road. The price for a COE will fluctuate based on the auction demand, and these auctions are held 2 times per month. Right now, a Tesla Model 3 will cost around $56,000, but then the COE is actually more than the car cost itself. This is part of why only 2,900 EVs were registered there last year. But as of May 4th this year, some EVs will be moving from Category B to Category A, essentially making them cheaper when it comes to the COE. This change will double the number of EVs that fall within Category A, up to 20 from 10 now. And lastly, a vast majority of the population in Singapore lives in high-rise apartments. So the government has said all public housing car parks will have at least 3 EV charging points by 2025. All of this to say, things are picking up for EVs in the Singapore market. Bloomberg highlighted EVs accounted for 8.4% of all new car registrations so far in 2022, and that's double the share in 2021. I'm not exactly sure of the source that TOSV is sharing here, but the story is that the solar tax that was proposed by Pacific Gas and Electric in California has now been stopped from this Bill 846. The authors have clarified this bill will not impose a solar tax on the solar energy you produce and consume at home. So to everyone that took time to write in and voice your concern, job well done. You can still make a difference in some cases. Check out this infographic for who really controls the solar panel supply chain. So the main components, you have polysilicon, wafers, cells, and then the module and the panel. Scrolling down, you'll see the share of manufacturing capacity by country and region for last year. All 4 of the main components are actually controlled by China to the tune of over 75%. The only areas where North America has even a 1% share of the manufacturing capacity is for the polysilicon at 5.6% and for the modules at 2.4%. I just want you guys to know that come this winter, I'll have a lot more time to do more research, so just stay tuned and be excited for that. Tech Geek Tesla made a video kind of testing Tesla's FSD. I just want to point out one thing. So he has this dummy set up in the road, and when he's driving manually, you'll see in a second, this is not actually showing up at all in the visualization. When you get very close, the ultrasonics will pick it up, but still no actual visualization on the screen. However, once he engages Autopilot, nothing has changed with the little dummy in the road, but the Tesla does recognize it and avoids it time after time. So I just thought this was interesting to note. And responding to his video, Elon said 1069.1 is even better. We reduce latency and jitter in the hardware, command loop, so time from object detection to brake actuation is 10 to 20% better. Then he said .2 goes out to 100,000 owners next week. So finally we get some clarity. Elon has been talking about to the wide release of the current FSD Beta, not yet to anyone in the United States. That goal is still by the end of the year. It looks like Elon did his own factory tour of Giga Berlin after all of the analysts have done so over the past few weeks. He said, spent the day walking Giga Berlin production line. Team is doing excellent work. In case you missed it, Tesla does do extreme heat and durability testing over in Dubai. I really just wanted to show you this picture that's giving me an extreme desire to travel much more. The wait time in China for the rear-wheel drive variant is down to 1 to 4 weeks, down from 4 to 8 weeks previously. So clearly, guys, demand is just cratering. In case you're new, that's just some sarcasm. This is really driven by increased production capacity after the upgrades at Giga Shanghai. Toyota is changing sentiment like the wind out here, now pledging up to $5.6 billion to make EV batteries, a majority of which will actually be in the United States. Toyota announced today an additional $2.5 billion for a US facility to make batteries for hybrids and full BEVs. This will start operations in 2025 and will be a total investment of $3.8 billion. Toyota now noting that demand for battery electric vehicles is growing. You don't say. According to the IEA, 6.6 million EVs were sold in 2021. Then in the first quarter of this year, 2 million EVs were sold, a 75% increase over the first 3 months of last year. Toyota simply all over the map, as at the same time it's stressed it will continue to offer multiple powertrains and providing as many options as possible. This really feels like a losing strategy. I just have to touch on this because you see headlines like this and many others that make you think the world is ending for BYD, when in reality, that's not really the case. What's really going on is Berkshire cut its stake in BYD by 12 basis points, 0.12%. They sold 1.33 million shares, only around $47 million, still owns 218 million shares. Maybe it's just me, but I think if Warren thought there was a big correction coming, he might trim a little bit more than 12 basis points. To my knowledge, this is a new policy from Tesla. It looks like there will be a rescheduling fee, and it's $100 if you reschedule your service appointment within 24 hours. Of course, you have to laugh because some people are now asking, will Tesla pay us every time they reschedule a service appointment? The answer is obviously no, but once again, sometimes you just have to laugh. Keep your eye out for the new Electrified G80 from Genesis. 87.2 kilowatt hour battery, 0 to 60, 4.1 seconds, up to 350 kilowatts of DC fast charging, a range of 282 miles. So far, only one variant, and it's a dual motor version. This car will start at $80,900, and sales have started in New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, and Cali, to be joined by 4 western states soon. This was a few days ago, but I missed it. It looks like France is pushing to have EV leases available for around $100 per month. The government is working on how quickly this measure can be rolled out, and considering the availability of EVs, this would be a state-sponsored leasing program for low-income households. EVs represented 12% of new car sales in France for the first 7 months of 2022. This article did mention EV makers Renault, VW, and Stellantis, and I would just assume that this program would have to be for lower-priced EVs. I know there's not a ton of options, but it seems like Tesla, being more on the luxury end, would not yet be included in a program like this for low-income households. Just my assumption. This is actually awesome on Ford. We just talked about this with John Lee in that nickel interview series on the channel. It looks like Ford is pushing and advocating for faster critical mineral mine permitting processes. Ford's advocating for the federal government to expedite permits for critical mineral mining. So we need Ford and GM, these companies that may have better relationships with the White House right now than Tesla, to actually advocate for this and get things to change, which will indirectly help Tesla and all EV makers. Today's lengthy, costly, and inefficient permitting process makes it difficult for American businesses to invest in the extraction and processing of critical minerals in the US. It takes up to 10 years to complete the current permitting requirements for critical mineral mining. Once again, if you missed the interview series, it'll be linked below. We talk a lot about this and why it takes so long and if things have been changing. Rivian is taking a page squarely out of Tesla's playbook, set to introduce a new camp mode.
So we've got a new mode, we're calling it camp mode, and this is going to be in the next over-the-air update, and it allows the vehicle to adjust everything from the noise levels. So we have a courtesy mode, you can completely turn the displays off, you can manage the energy so the vehicle goes into more of a deep sleep. There's awesome floodlights in the mirrors that can light up the campsite, but as a quick teaser, probably the coolest feature is an auto leveling feature where we can, if you're sitting in the vehicle or camping in the vehicle or slipping in the back and it's sitting crooked because you're on a hill, the suspension auto levels. And I'm going to do that right now. So ready to level. And here we go. And it's hard to see in a video, but the vehicle is becoming level as we sit on this. And it's very, very cool.
I would guess that this mode would have to allow this, but so far there's no word on whether this will allow for climate control. Today is officially the last day for Herbert Diess as CEO of VW. Now, he may still be working with the company in some capacity going forward, but no longer as CEO. He said, "Today's my last day as CEO of VW, and I would like to use the opportunity to say thank you. These were the most rewarding 7 years of my career. The future of our industry can be brilliant, but we have to change fast. VW has already changed tremendously and is well underway. Wishing all of the best to Herbert Diess and whatever he takes on in the future." Of course, I don't recommend seeking out opportunities like this or trying this at home, but when you see these videos, it's always somewhat fun to watch. And I'd be incredibly hard pressed to find a better video to use as the outro. That'll do it for today. Please like the video if you did. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.